Good morning, Flosstube. New normal. I've started another one. Right. Hi. Morning. It is a Sunday, the 13th of September. 9:25 in the morning. Might get a bit of disturbance. I've got over half my people are up. So we shall see. The lighting is terrible today because it is another gloomy, getting on for autumn kind of day here in the UK. And I'm here for my 6th, I think, Flosstube. So my channel is mostly cross stitch. Today we're going to get a little bit of mixed media. I've got some knitting, I've got some things I've been doing, so you're going to get a little bit of that. I'll do all the stitching bits first, so if you're not into looking at bits of knitting and stuff, that'll be right at the end. Sometimes I put some videos on the end as well, but again, they're right at the end, you know, little clippies of what I've been up to, but I don't think there's a great deal this week. I did take a little video of my dogs, but it was very getting on for night time, so I don't know whether you can even see it. I'll watch it back and see later on. Anyway, so 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since my last Flosstube, and in that time I have had 3 new starts. I've only stitched on 3 projects and they're all new starts. One of them is a restart, which I'll get to, but if you've watched the video I did last Sunday, little clippy snippy, the new normal came out. This is a long dog sampler, which, if you know me and you've watched any of my other videos, you know I love long dog samplers, and I love them colourful. I love them all. I want to stitch every single one of them, but we will get there. So here is where I am on the new normal. Here we are. And if you've watched my video before, if you haven't watched my video before, go and watch it, because that's how I explain what I'm doing. So here we go. That's where I've got to. So in the other video, I'd just done the this guy here, the little dragon, and the keyhole. And I was just starting on the yellow, I think. So I haven't done a great deal, but you'll see why in a bit. I did quite a lot of this orange yesterday here. Sorry, I'm pointing with my left hand. I'm not very good with my left hand. I can't gauge where it is. And stitching along perfectly happily, just getting on with what I was doing. Looked down at the pattern and went, that's funny. Looked at my work and went, that's funny. And I had stitched a J and an L. So, ode to the designer, but I wanted my initials, so I had to frog out the J and the L and put in my own initials. I'm going to show you my back. My backs are not tidy. I am not a tidy back stitcher because I don't care about the back of my work. But can you see? Oh, the mess I made. There's ends. I'm going to, what I'll do, as soon as I've finished stitching this bubble, I'm going to get a piece of iron-on interfacing, because I have got ends that are just half a stitch. I just had to cut the stitches and go for it because I wasn't going to unpick, because I ramble where I stitch. I don't stitch in neat lines. I can't just take out a line of stitching. I kind of do a little bit here, a little bit down there. I go around here and do these bits. Yeah, I couldn't do it, so I just had to basically cut the J and L out. So now we have an EB, which is me, which is better. I just wasn't even thinking. I was just following pattern keeper as you do, blah 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 blah, stitch stitch stitch. Yeah, it went wrong. So this is a 35 count. It's just a straight pearl grey Zweigart base. Absolutely love it. It's linen. I'm getting better stitching on linen. Got a couple of linens on the go now, and I'm getting much better at it. And these are just DMC variations. Now, I did get some haul. The grey is haul and the black is pinched. I got 2 greys. Hang on, let me get them out. So the 2 greys I got, both Pinky dyes. That's the one. There we go. There's the one I started. Complete mess. I'll stick it on a bobbin at some point. And so I was hoping to do the background in 2 different greys. So I got Black Sand Beach and Charcoal. Actually, they look a lot more different on the camera than they look in real life. I stitched some of this, some of the charcoal, and some of the black sand beach, and with one strand, you cannot tell the difference between them. Absolutely couldn't tell the difference between them. I can, there, beautifully clear, stitched up. Now look, see, they start to disappear. When you separate out one strand, not a chance, not a chance. So I wanted them the darker, so I went with the black sand beach, and I pulled out of my DMC box my 310 étoile. Look at that, there we go. So I thought, right, some of the animals, the very, very outside border, 310 étoile. There we go, sorted. So I'm stitching one strand because it's 35 count, which makes, look at this, project bag. Hopeless woman. They're making project bags this week. So, in case you haven't seen it, there's the new normal long dog sampler. Everybody in their little bubbles, which is how we're living our life just now. There we go. So there's our bubbles. There's the JL that I happily stitched in, which I've had to fix. So I wasted about an hour and a half yesterday fixing the JL. Very frustrating. I didn't even notice. I was just stitching away merrily. So wrong. I got it so wrong. Never mind. Sorry, that's way noisy. So this will be kept for something else into my meagre stash of not very much stuff. There we go. So over one with one strand, can you see there's the over one? You can see very, very clearly the fabric through. So I'm going he's over two, that's over two, this was over two, and here I'm doing one strand, and I'm just going to go back over my stitches because the black needs to be two strands, but it's DMC étoile, we know it's no great shakes to have to get another couple of skeins of it. So my little squirrel is the black sand beach, and these guys here will be the black. So when I get to a motif, like he wanted to be black, he wanted to be grey, when I get to something that isn't in the bubble, I'll decide whether it's black or whether it's grey. And the idea being that that will make, as I stitch more, that'll make the bubbles pop more. So that's where I am on the new normal. Done a fair bit on it. Haven't had to deal too much with the glitching pattern keeper just yet, but I'm just being super careful when I get to a page break. As I said in my video from last week, I'm just going to use it as it is. Okay, so that was the new normal. Let me find somewhere to put that out of the way. My other new start, my birthday present from my mother-in-law, was Lakeside Needlecraft gift vouchers. Fantastic. Bought my silks with one of them, and bought this with the other. Excuse me. This is actually my third coffee, so a bit more. Should be able to do the words thing a bit better. So I bought Lakeside Needlecraft Spooky Halloween. There it is. Now I first saw this, Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, who I love, absolutely love. She does a two-part whip parade. If you've not gone and watched her, go and watch her whip parade. It's in two parts, and she's drinking something as she's doing it. She gets more entertaining the longer she's on the camera. Very funny. Anyway, that's who she was doing that on a piece of fabric she dyed herself, and I absolutely loved it and looked it up, and I've been looking at it. So I decided to buy the full lot. So I bought the fabric, I bought the pattern, PDF'd it, and I bought the floss pack, which consisted of 4 skeins of black DMC, a fluorescent, what am I doing? Get them out of the packet. There we go. That's Lakeside Needlecraft saying thank you very much. She's brilliant. Very, very quick. This didn't come very, very quickly because this little guy was out of stock. This is E940. This glows in the dark, and it really does. It's really good. It glows in the dark. So she was out of stock with this. So she waited a couple of weeks just to see whether the stock was going to come in or not. It obviously didn't. So she refunded me my skein of DMC, which was lovely of her, and sent me out the rest. I popped into Hobbycraft, picked up this, and I think 4 DMCs that I needed for my other start. So what you get is 4 I have already used, 1, so I have 3 left. I'm on my second. Always can use 310. And mind your eyes, E980 and E990. They are fluorescent. These are so far from my colour palette that you can get, and I love them. So wow, they literally make your eyes bleed. They're that bright. So here is Spooky Halloween. This is where I am. Give me a moment. So I decided to do all the black first. So get onto these frames in a minute. Had a lucky dip. Got some frames. Anyway, here we are. I can do my scrolly thing. There it is. Oh, there we are. It does all fit on. There we are. So that's where I am with it. So this is a 36 count. It's called Pumpkin. It's their own fabric. It's printed, so you get the white back and the fancy front. And that's where I am. And I love it. I love this little guy. I started with him. He's not quite the middle, but I started with him. And we've got a Frankenstein guy. He's going to have a green face, I assume. So I thought I'd do all the black first. Oh, I love it. Look at it. It's brilliant. And then there. That's the colour of the fabric. It's got a really nice hand-dyed look about it. As I say, it's not hand-dyed. It's printed. Even weave. 36 count. And I went for the 36 one because I'm getting into the smaller counts, as we all do, I think. The more, if your eyes can cope with it, the more stitching you do, the more you get into the smaller counts. I was hoping to do it over 1, but as soon as I put the black, again, exactly the same as new normal, as soon as I put the black on the fabric, I realised I needed 2 strands. So we've got super coverage here. You can see it is absolutely black. There are literally just a couple of little points you can see where you've not got a complete blackout, but as a piece, perfect. Love it. I want to get this finished and on this wall for Halloween this year, and I'm doing all bad. Just about to check, but I'm using my phone to record, so I can't. I think that might be nearly 40%. So I've done most of the donkey work. The tree comes up here. There's and then there's a board. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm trying to explain it, and I can show you. Oh, there's a tree the other side as well. So I've gone as far as that side. So I've got this tree and this bit here to put in here, and then the border. We're playing Silly Monsters again today, and then I'll fill in all the little bits and bobs as we go. Clearly need to delete some of my videos off my SD card. So there we are. So that's start number 2, and that accounts for most of my haul. Now the rest of my haul, my little order that I made, there it is. Just to make up, to use up the full gift card, I was 4 Dinky Dies and 2 Karen Water Lilies, and that was £20 gone. But never mind. that is the border of Dilemma. So I got an extra one. I cleaned her out before. She's obviously got more stock in. It's perfect match to the one I've already got. So I know now that I've definitely got enough to finish the border. And if I've got stuff left, and we're counting again. I've just been in and deleted out my last 2 floss tubes off my phone. They're obviously saved all over the place and they're uploaded to the world. So I didn't need them saved to my phone. So hopefully I'll get more than 2 minutes this time because I hate splicing videos together. So a long time ago in my little whip braid, I showed you that I was doing ink circles, elegant squid for my daughter now, which is just brilliant. Love it. My first ink circles. So this is almost finished, actually. All the squids are done. Dinky Dye, Down Under Blues. Oh, let's get it so you can see it. There we go. So that's all done. And I'm just filling in all the background here, all these twiddly bits in the background. This is on, oh, it's really not picking up at all. Can you see the sparkle? This is on a 28 count pearlescent, not pearlescent, opalescent white even weave. Here comes my son down the stairs. And I was using Ocean Breeze, Karen Water Lily Silk Ocean Breeze to fill in the gaps. And the cat has made off with the bobbin with this on it. So when I find his stash eventually, comes my boy.
Have you seen the little cat?
Haven't seen the little cat. It must be in with the girls, darling. Just looking for him. There he goes. So this is missing in action. So I had to blue a £5 buying another one. I love the colour. I'll use this colour over and over to finish off this. And I want to get this next floss tube. I want this finished and framed. I want this one out of the way because I was so nearly done and I keep trying to finish it. I keep thinking, right, I'm going to finish those squids. Missing. Gone. Presumed mislaid forever. So, oh, glare. Sorry. Elegant squid. I'm going to sit down. I don't think it's going to take too long. Evening, maybe 2 evenings work there. Just finishing that off. It's on white. It's 28 count, so it's nice and easy to see. It's been folded up for a long time. I'll have to give it a really good press. And we should be done. So that's 2 of my 3 starts and a little bit of haul. That's all my haul was. At least I had some haul. I mean, I rarely have haul. I don't have a lot. Everything I have, I already have in the house, basically, unless I need something really different or really special, or I get a present from family. So then I've had a restart. Hang on, I'm going to have to get this. And it's on my big oak frame that Robin made me. I'm going to have to get it turning so I can show you what I've done. Now, very funny. The Tour de France ruled our lives. You don't know, because I've not said, but for 6 years, Robin and I ran a bike shop, a bicycle shop, repair, sales, what have you. That's why I have such a nice bike. We ran it for 6 years until his back got too bad and we couldn't compete with the online business and we decided to close. We closed three years ago now. Yeah, nearly 3 years ago now, but we ran it for 6 years. And we had a race team, we had a club, we ran events, we ran British cycling events. Tour de France was like it. It ruled us, you know. We had people coming in talking about it all the time and everyone was so excited, and roll on 3 years. And I found out from Kim, I found out from Kim that the Tour de France was on. And I was like, how could I not have known? It literally ruled our lives for years. So the Full Coverage Fanatics Tour de France challenge was quickly scrabbled together. They did brilliantly to scrabble it together so quick and get it running. And obviously I wanted to take part because over the stretch of 3 weeks you put in 3,600 stitches or so if you do the full yellow jersey, which is what I do. So last year I worked on my treasure hunt bookshelf. So I wanted to do it this year and every year. This is going to be this is going to be my piece that I do this on. So I pulled out a pathetic measly start I'd had on the treasure hunt bookshelf. That's not the start. So I got to unroll this to show you my start. Oh my god, look at the coffee. Oh my god, look at the coffee on the Ada. It's full coverage, it'll never show. So there it is, it's that end. Oh god, it's a bit of a workout. So there is where I had got to. Oh crikey, I think I've done more. And this is 18 count Ada, my first full coverage piece, the first big piece of Ada I'd bought. It is stiff as a board because it's been on the frame the whole time. Okay, so it's absolutely stiff still. And I was doing this over 2. So look at that, now you can see the back of this. This is what my full coverage backs look like. Isn't it horrific? I'm the sort of person that Pattern Keeper's perfect for, because I'm an ambling cross country. I'd love to do an extreme cross country. I will at some point do an absolute extreme cross country, maybe a little smaller one to start with. But there was my start. That was my original start. I've still got thread joined to it. That was my original start, my first full coverage piece. And that's as far as I got, which is not very far. So that was some work initially, and then last year's Tour de France. So I got it out and I started, and oh my goodness, pushing 2 strands. I was actually hurting my fingers trying to do it. And I thought, I can't do this. I need to be on bigger Ada, I need to be doing something different. So I started looking at the prices of a big metre of Ada, because it's enormous, as you can see, rolling, rolling, rolling. Back to the coffee stains. Crikey, it's been sitting on this frame a long, long time. So, yeah. So I thought about it for a very long time, and because I've just unrolled it, you can see what I did. I was going to order Ada, and it was going to take days to come, and the Tour de France had already started, and I was already a stage behind. I picked up on day 2. So, here in the UK, we get a roundup programme for the day. It's an hour-long programme on ITV4 every day, 7 o'clock, Tour de France time. So, I'm going to have to roll this up tighter later. So, I hummed and hawed for a long time, didn't know what to do, wanted to buy a new piece of Ada, wanted to start again, and I thought, no, you just need to do it over 1. You just need to get 1 strand. I've already got all the floss because I kitted it, except I still needed to go and buy about 5 because I've used them in other projects. So immediately where I started, I didn't have one of the colours. I didn't have 823. I found it now. It's in with Shipping Trees, which I also need to pull out and do some work on. So I literally rolled it up other way. So this would have been the bottom right hand corner against the top left where I start. So I restarted top left corner, and if I ever get to a finish, which I'd love to do, love this finished, if I ever get there, when I get to the last page and I find I've got stitching on it, I'll deal with it then. I'll rip it all out. I'll take out just as much as I need for a tiny wee border so that I can fold it over. I'll fix it. But we're talking 10 years before I need to fix it. So I decided to restart it. Oh, and it was kind of hard because it's that big with some stitching down here. I've gridded with what I hope is my erasable pen, but because it's full coverage, it's never going to show. If it's not my erasable pen, it's that turquoise one that all the writing's rubbed off. So on the pen, the writing's rubbed off. So it could be the erasable one, or it could just be a fine liner. Who knows? So I gridded just enough to get going, and I got going. So here is 2 weeks of the Tour de France. Now that's a lot more stitching. That is 5,600 stitches, I think. So what I'm doing is I found the candle. I'm doing this year's Tour de France and last year's Tour de France, because last year I put all those stitches over 2 with two strands, and I've skipped it. I've chucked it in the bin, I've rolled it up and hidden it, so those stitches were wasted. And we don't like wasted stitches now, do we? So I thought, right, here's my challenge, do this year's stitching and last year's stitching. So that's what I'm doing. So I've already done enough to do this year's Tour de France, and I've got about another 1,500 stitches, 6,800 and something. I actually have it written down in my book. So to do last year's tour and this year's tour. Anybody else put wonder clips in their notebooks? I need to do 6,850 stitches. This is me technical. There's me planning my dilemma. 300 by 300. That was a hard bit of maths. Not. Here we go. Look, there's my stages. Tour de France. Which stage? How many kilometers? And then how many stitches I've stitched instead. So you can see each day. Like yesterday I needed to do 194 for the stage, I did 269. So I'm counting extra, and then on the rest days I'll do the same, and then by the time we're done it will be 6,850 at least in 3 weeks to catch myself up. And that's my stitching. So thank you, Kim. You've given me a kick. You've got me hooked back on Treasure Hunt bookshelf, which was my first start, my first full coverage start. And I love it. Right. Oh, sorry. For those who don't know what this amazing piece of work looks like, here's the Treasure Hunt bookshelf. It's just amazing. So I am literally here. There's some of the green. I've done quite a bit of this pink book, and I'm getting just this tiny. So I've got this tiny start. This is 2%. I have done 2%. So if I do 2% a year, I'm not going to get it finished in my lifetime. I don't think. Because I don't think I'll still be stitching at 94. I need to do more than 2% a year, every year. And to that end, they released all the full coverage fanatics challenges for next year, and I'm in. I am in for book pages. The lot. I am going to try and do almost every challenge. I went through and went going to all the events. If you like full coverage pieces, if you've got 1 or 2 or 20 and you're not a member on Facebook of the Full Coverage Fanatics group, get yourself over there. They're brilliant. There's such a nice little group of people, well, quite a big group of people actually. So much inspiration, so much good stitching on there. Now you see, I don't use Facebook personally. My personal page has got I've got 20 friends, I've got 10 posts over 12 years maybe. I don't use it personally, but cross stitch I post in the groups, the long dog groups, the individual, the pandemic groups, full coverage groups, 24 hours of cross stitch. I'm in loads of groups, so I use Facebook, but I don't post personally very much at all, ever. I don't know anybody, I don't have any friends. You know what I mean. I think I find it very same with Instagram. I'm under my own name because I don't need to be anybody else, anything else. I'm just me. But all my posts are stitching, a couple of birthday cakes, and some cats every now and again. You know, it's not. There's no selfies. There's none of that. I don't do any of that. I consider myself way too old for all of that nonsense. I don't get it, I don't understand it, but I finally found my use of Facebook. So if you're not, long story, if you're not the Full Coverage Fanatics in the group, get yourself over there, have a little look. They're really nice, really good. And I'm hooked back on that. So I thought, because I have 2 bookshelves on the go, I've got Bountiful Bookshelf and Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, I thought all those stitches next year, all the challenges, if it's a book challenge, I'm going to use a bookshelf. So that should give me I should get massive progress on both of my bookshelves for that. So for each month there'll be a bookshelf, and I'll choose whichever bookshelf I'm fancying doing, I'll do one bookshelf for the bulk of the stitching, and then whichever's the smaller, I'll do the other bookshelf, and then I'll switch them out as the year goes by, and hopefully the 2 bookshelves will get tons of stitches. They're my biggest pieces. That's it. So I had this funny little frame. We popped along to our local auction and had a little look. Robin's into antique tools, antique woodworking tools, so we went and had a little look, and there was a lot of embroidery frames, tapestry frames they were marked as, up for auction. So I put in a bid and I got them. So I paid 20 quid for, I've got 3 floor stands, I've got 4 of these, this is the smallest of them, and a funny thing called a slate frame. I only know because I've googled it. It's this thing. Ugh. It's got holes. It's beautifully made. Holes and pegs, and you slot them into there to make a square, and then you put pegs. There's no pegs, but Robin will make some pegs. It's all done up nicely. This is beech. He took one look at this and he went, oh, that's beech, that's nice. And there's a beautiful floor stand, which I think's been handmade. It's got little cantilever, and it's lovely, absolutely lovely. 2 frames with the wooden screw. Can't remember what you call it. The wooden screwy bits on. Lovely. So I'm thrilled to bits. I don't need all of them, but I'm working my way through them. And there was, as I say, there was 4 of these, and there's this one. And as I pulled it out of the box, I didn't know that there was a piece of work on one of them. Now I guessed, thank you Sarah, Stitching Mummy, I guessed what this was. You know what this is as well, don't you? Straight away. I guessed as it came out what it was. Look, she'd started it. And look where the needle's been sat. It's gone rusty. The needle's rusty. So sad. It's obviously a lady who's died, and this is her stash. Look, the needle's rusty. You can see where it's been sitting in the fabric. But it's off to the side, and that's fine. So I think I need to finish this. I think I need to stitch it. Some of the stitches are incredibly tight. Her tension went a bit wonky donkey. On here, some of them are incredibly tight. But this is the start, and I guessed right, it's Nantucket Rose, a lavender and lace. And it's already on this nice little neat frame. I love these short. It's so handy. Because of course, because it rolls, you don't need 6 foot sticking out the top. So this was in. So I think I need to stitch this. It is on Cremader. Looks like it's 18 count to me. Doesn't look. It might be 16. I just don't know. And then as I was pulling it out came the pattern. And it is indeed Nantucket Rose. There it is. I mean, the pattern's a little old. It's got a few little holies in it. And I'm tempted, because I don't have fancy ladies, I don't have a lot of flowers in my full coverages, I'm rather tempted to full coverage it. So basically, she is full coverage pretty much. Her and her dress, her beautiful dress, are almost completely full coverage. There's a little bit of sky. There's a very small amount of sky. The sky is only going to be about that deep. So I could pick a very pale blue. I think it's 16 count. Oh, the stitches here, they're so tight, it's puckering. It's puckered the fabric. But I think, as a note to this, I just hit myself on the head with that, did you see? As a note to the little lady who I've bought all her embroidery frames, I think I'm going to stitch her. She's not, I love the Celtic ladies, she's not my favourite, lavender and lace. I will do the Celtic ladies at some point, but the pattern's in there. So for my £20, I got a £9 pattern, could buy this brand new for £9, and I got 4 of these. I got 2 complete floor stands with the frames, that slate frame thing, and a wonderful, pointing around the room because they're all over the living room. I'll sort them all out. But Robin's going to use the ones with the wooden screws because he wants to learn how to cut those. We're going to use that as a pattern because he's already made me my big oak frame, which weighs a ton, but he's going to make a little adapter for the floor stand, which is absolutely beautiful, to fit my big stands on, so I can sit in the living room and stitch on a proper frame. Anyway, that was my little bit of, I suppose does that count as haul? Whole load of frames and Nantucket Rose, which I'm going to stitch. And if I make it full coverage, I can go into prompts on Full Coverage Fanatics when they want fancy ladies or something, because I have a mermaid, but that's the nearest I've got to a person, and I'm so far away from the people on my bookshelves. There's people on them, but I'm so far away from them, because if there's a prompt, I want to stitch on the prompt. I don't want to go, oh well, there's a woman on here, but it's going to take me 10 years to get to the woman. I want to stitch on the woman. If it's stitch on fancy lady, I want to stitch on the lady. I don't want to stitch on the tree 10 years away from the lady. So I think I might make it full coverage, give it a nice light blue sunny day sky, and just fill in the bit at the bottom, around the bottom of her dress. I think I should, shouldn't I? Because she started it and she's died. Obviously the lady's died. So anyway, what else have I been doing? Okay, that's the end of the stitching stuff. Everything else is other crafts. So if you're just here for bits of stitching, thank you very much. And if you're not, let's carry on. Oh, giveaway. Gizzits. You know what I'm like. So last time, still in my little book, but the other page, to the right page. I've done my thingies. So I had, for the yellow dragon eye, I had 11 people say yes please, and it's clear with just the dragon tips are yellow. And I had 11 people, and it picked number 7, who is Brianna Fickles. So Brianna, I put my email in the drop down box. I'm getting better at learning how to do this. I'm actually managing to link things a little bit now. I'll get there. I said bear with me, I'll get there. So look at that eyeball. I love the thingies on the back. I love them. So that one's going to Brianna Fickles, and the Victorian lady and girl, the post people. Oh, shiny, because it's nice and smooth. There we go. That one, there were 10 people that mentioned that one, and that's going to Kendra Soda. It picked number 1. She was the first person to mention it in a comment, and my random number generator picked number 1. So Kendra Soda. I'll comment on your comment, or just drop me an email with your address, and I'll get these guys in the post. So Brianna and Kendra, let me know and I'll get them to you. What else have I been doing? So I had a little go. Do you remember I said about trying to make some scissor fobs? I had a little go with the jump rings and the cat hairs, and I quite like it. It's something completely different. I've never done it before. It's wielding pliers and jump rings, and I've done these chains, which are quite fun. So I've done this one to match in with one of my little wooden people that I showed you when I was up the shed. I just looked at the shed and pointed at the shed. Hopeless woman. This one here is a Halloweeny one, and this one here matches a mermaid that my daughter's made out of Fimo. So next week we should have some finished articles. I don't have, I think that they look about the right length for scissor fobs. 5, it'll be about 6 inches all in all. I don't know quite. That one obviously I'm still working in, but I thought I'd bring them down and show that I've had a little go. I need some bigger lobster claws to put on the top, and then just a little dingle dangle on the bottom. So I've had a go and I quite like it, and they're not that time consuming, and it's kind of fun. I never see craft as time. It's always something I want to do because it's fun, rather than, oh, I have to spend time making this and making that. Okay, my Etsy shop will be linked this time, and these guys, these are the rest of the ice dragons here, and that one is, but it's got a full rainbow in his things, and that one there, he's quite different. That one isn't translucent, that one is just blue with tips. These guys are going to be listed today, so they should be up with all the others that are there as well, but these guys are done now. I've decided not to glaze them. I think they look better without the glaze on them. It gives them a more opaque look, more kind of scaly. If I put the glaze on them, they go very shiny, and I like that too, but not on these ones, I don't think. In real life, when I'm looking at them, they're nowhere near as bright as this. They're very clear with just the tips. There. You can see them there. So these guys will be listed. They all have eyeballs. It's just on a piece of mount board. Everything's on a bit of mount board, but they all have eyeballs on the back. So it should be in my Etsy shop. I started a new jumper last night, as you do. This, by the way, is one of my hand knits. I think it might be called Arwen, this one. It's a lovely cornflower blue. I made it maybe 3 years ago. It's cotton acrylic mix, so it washes and tumble dries, and even after 3 years I have overlong arms. Not really, but I like a hand knit. Look at that. She says, dreadful, is it not? Let me poke that through. There we go. That's the length. I want a jumper, and I want the jumper to stay that length forever. I don't want it to shrink. So if I hand make a jumper, my sleeves are always 2 or 3 inches. That to me is too short. That's right. So 3 years on, still the right length. So I started this one. I paid full pattern from Ravelry. I still use Ravelry. I use an app called Dirty Needles, which I don't like the name of the app because it's got a different connotation, but it's like an easy, it's just like a pictures. You just can scroll through the pictures on Ravelry without actually going into Ravelry. So I like that. And you favourite, and then it favourites to your Ravelry account anyway, so I still use it. I get people have got problems with it, but I still use it just because it gives me access to lots of designers and lots of stuff that normally I probably couldn't be able to find anyway, so I still use it. So it's called the Felix Pullover, and it's by Savoury Knitting, and how an American spelling of savoury, because we have a U. We have a U in the UK in Savoury, just to make spelling even harder, because chuck a U in, why not? Just make it hard for kids. And it's got a little detail. The only thing in it is absolutely plain. I just wanted a really, really plain sweater, because you'll see from the ball of yarn I found upstairs that it doesn't need a pattern. It just has little V. I don't know if you can see the picture there. The raglan increases on the sleeves are little eyelets in V shapes, which I like very much. This jumper here, it has a stain on it. I don't know what that is. It's obviously not. It's obviously something oily. It's not come out. But this jumper here has lines of eyelets down the side there, and the same on the back. So it's really nice, this one. My first go at a top-down sweater. Something went wrong, because it's meant to be an open boat. It's meant to be like an open boat neck, and mine is almost a V-neck. was meant to be more like that, and mine is more like this. Never mind. So that's what I started. Last Christmas I got a 3 for 2 Hobbycraft, our small box craft shop in the UK. Have a 3 for 2 every now and again, and I got 3 of these. 2 of them I've already used, were a completely different colourway. This is Sirdar Jewel Spun. It's Arwen weight, which is worsted. You use a 5mm knitting needle with it, so it's that sort of size, and it is lovely. It's not my colours, at all. I don't do autumn, but it looks like autumn to me, and we are in autumn clearly because the weather's bleh. So I quickly knocked myself out. Now I have pliers and bits and bobs. I knocked myself out a stitch marker with some lovely glass square Millefiori beads. I love these things, absolutely love them. I used to wear a string of them around my neck for years and years and years. There we go, knocked myself out some stitch markers. They're just jump rings. I just twisted them together, and this started this last night. There's the eyelet increases. Can you see them? So I started this about 10 o'clock last night. It's Arwen. It's going to knit up super quick. So that's where I am. I've done the short row shaping, because with a top down sweater you do extra here to account for the fact that it's higher at the back than it is at the front, and then once you get to about here it's just straight down, and you can make everything the length you want because you're knitting from the top down. My head does fit through the gap. I have a really small head. It's only when you see me with other people you realise that my head is really small. Never mind, me and my dad, pinheads. So that bit's done. Sorry, I'm rambling. Too much coffee. I get more animated the more coffee I have. I top out at about 6 cups, and that's me for the day. I get there about lunchtime. That's the centre shoulder there. So there we go. It's longer. There's the front. That'd be the front bit. So you can see it's knitting up, kind of random stripy. There's the shaping. That bit will be there. I've only got quite a short 5mm needle. I'll have to find a bigger one. It's from somewhere. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to knit this whole ball. It's 200 grams this ball, which is almost 8 ounces, and I've got 500 meters, 546 yards approximately. So there we go. That's what I've got on there. So that's not quite half a jumper. So I'll either need to go and buy another one of these, or when I run out, and I'm going to knit down, and then I'll knit some sleeve as well, so that when I run out, I'm even, and I'll then decide whether to pick a colour from this and find something like it and have the bottom half plain, or whether I'm just going to go and get another ball of this. They're still make it, still in my Hobbycraft. It's probably from the same bloody dye lot. It's probably been there the whole time. So I'll decide when I run out of yarn, whenever that is. But I need a little bit of light relief knitting. Last thing, and my little gizzit. Now, I've been making project bags. Here is one of my project bags, and this is this week's prize. So if you fancy this one, it's got some odd things on it. It fits in, doop doop. It should be. Now, for this size bag, I used the smaller patterns, so like a Plum Street, you know, like one of the tired trios sort of thing. So it is A4, UK A4 size. I think it's 9 by 11, I think you call it, but we call a piece of printer paper is A4, and it fits an A4. So for a folded pattern, you know, when you buy a pattern and it's folded, that would fit beautifully in there with your fabric and all your gubbins. It fits, you can fit a 6-7 inch hoop in here, but not a Q-snap really. So that's that's the giveaway here. If you'd like it, just mention. It's obviously very flat. Shouldn't be too bad to post. I've not posted one of these yet, so we'll see. Now, I thought I'd explain to you about my project bags, because this is actually one of the first ones I made. I make them slightly differently now, actually. She says, I'll explain to you about my project bags, but give me 2 seconds. Just go into a box over there. Ah, rummagey, rummagey, rummagey. Here we go. Sorry about that. So, on my theme of trying to use things up, I've got a thing about denim. Absolutely, I've always had a thing about denim. My first house, I covered the mantel shelf in denim fabric, in stretchy denim fabric. I'm trying to keep that stain out of shot. Anyway, I love denim. So the backs of my bags are denim. And what I do is I harvest the denim. Obviously it is cleaned to within an inch of it being clean, you know, and you can see what I do. I patchwork it all together, and sometimes you'll get a piece like this, which has, of course, a fully functioning pocket. So this bag doesn't have a pocket in it. As I say, it's one of the earlier bags I made. So it does have the different colour denim in it, 2 pieces spliced together. They're quite, now I vinyl front, and my vinyl has glitter in it. It's glittery vinyl, and it is a multicolour glitter. It's just marvellous, and I love it. So for my bags, because when you photograph them, you might think, oh, that's a bit dull. Can't really see the fabric, because obviously the fabric's on the back, and there's a little, and I always put a little contrast piece along the front there. But if it's one of my bags, it's got upcycled denim and the sparkly vinyl, and I love them, and it's me, and it's how I go. So some of the ones that are going in my shop have got pockets. Some of them are plain. These are just pieces ready to be used, and what I do, every single one of my bags is unique. I have an extensive patchwork fabric stash, most of which I'm pulling from to make my bags. I buy bits when I see them, when I like them. I'm not buying bolts of fabric. I generally buy a fat quarter, occasionally a half, and a fat quarter makes 1 bag. So unless I buy multiple fat quarters in something, there's only going to be 1 bag out of that fabric. There is 1 bag with that fabric, and that's this one, because this fat quarter was funny. It was a very narrow piece of fabric, obviously, so the quarter was small. So what I do now, instead of doing you cut the larger piece and you roll and you roll and you pin and you sew and you do your corners as you go, I make my own bias tape. So this was a fat quarter, and it contrasts. The bag that I used this for is the most vibrant blue. It's blue purple. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. I nearly kept it, but I could keep every bag I make, really honestly. So I make my own bias tape, and as I make them now, I get the piece of denim, I get the piece of back, I do the piece of zip with the piece of vinyl, and then I'll very, very carefully put on the bias tape, which means I'm not folding multiple layers. When I get to a corner, I can do the most beautiful mited stitched corner as you go. So that's how I'm doing them now. So you'll get a fabric on the back, contrasting fabric here, and then another contrasting fabric for the bias. And that's how I roll. That's how my bags work. So you'll see them and you'll think, oh, that's not a pretty fabric. Oh, that's not a pretty fabric. Pretty fabric's on the back. denim, which gives it some structure, means it doesn't need any more plastic. It doesn't need the plastic because the stuff you iron on to stiffen is made of plastic. It's all polyester, and a lot of the batting is going to be polyester as well, or acrylic. I know I put vinyl on mine, but I really like to be able to see what I've got in them. I really do. I like a bit of vinyl, so I know there's plastic in them, but there's as little as I can, and I'm upcycling my denim, and each one's different. You see, these are different sizes. Obviously the size of the bags will be mentioned. This one is going to be a bigger bag. It's going to be slightly bigger than this, so it'll comfortably fit your A4 pattern, and this one is going to be square because it's much smaller. It's shorter. It's 2 inches shorter and 1/2 inch longer than that one. So they vary. It just depends how I stitch them together and what they are. And I have piles of pockets flying around my house because I'm a bit nutty. So if you'd like the project bag, just leave me a little comment. I think this has turned out longer because I'm at 41 minutes and this is my second go. So I think it's turned out longer. So I think that's me. Thank you so much for watching. Projects going forwards this week. I've got another week of the Tour de France, so I'll be cracking on with my treasure hunt bookshelf. I'm going to be cracking on with probably these 3 projects again, unless I get bored. Or I'll try and finish the squids as well. I've already got a frame for that, so if I can get that done and framed, I can give it to my girl. Or whatever I fancy. I might fancy, are we going to do Pilgrim? No, it's not Pilgrim week next week. 29th is the Long Dog Leap Day, Sal Day, so I always work on my Pilgrim for that. Whatever I fancy. I'll do some knitting, try and get those scissor fobs done, maybe make a few more of those. I'm making little nativity figures. I love nativity sets. I absolutely love Christmas nativity sets. So I'm working on some new ones, some miniature ones, because I love miniature things, and some bigger sets. And when I've got something finished, I'll show you then. But I think that's me for now. I think that's more than enough. Have a great stitching week. Oh, if you're in anywhere where there's the fires, oh my goodness, I watch the US news. I can't watch Fox News, but I watch, what do I watch? I watch PBS and NBC nightly news every day. I'm absolutely hooked. Yeah, I watch the American news more than I watch the British news now. It's funny. I have actually put the BBC on overnight, so I always have the British news on overnight. We always leave the telly on overnight. We're electricity wasters. But yeah, so the forest fires, oh my goodness. And I know Beth Twist has had to evacuate because she puts posts on Instagram. So scary, so scary. I hope everybody's safe. And if you've had to evacuate, I hope your houses are safe and all your stuff. And it's literally worst nightmare scenario, isn't it? So I hope everybody's safe and okay, and stay safe. And yeah, on we go. Another couple of weeks. I'll see you soon. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye bye. Bye for now.